Welcome to the Non-Essential Podcast. I'm Steve Gibson.
I'm Ben Matlock.
We're back. Another week.
Another week.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Busy times. Tired boys and busy times.
This is a thing that we do about underselling our own show, but the best part about like the night that we record this, which is on Thursdays for what it's worth, is that it reminds me that it's almost the weekend.
I'm glad that comforts you. This just reminds me, like, fuck, I got one more day. Like, god damn it. Like, this show would be a lot better for me. The product would suck, but it would be a lot better if we did it Friday night.
It'd probably be easier for me to record on Friday. There's just something about, like, giving up your Fridays, even though I literally don't do anything on Friday nights.
Talking to friends on Discord is all I do on Friday night now, anyway. So, it wouldn't change much for me. But yeah, we tell stories on this show, and like I said, it's been kind of a really fucking long week at work. I have not been sleeping well. I've been staying at work way too long. So, and I think I've been a good boy so far this year as far as like getting original stories for the show that I'm allowed a creepypasta now.
As long as it's got Alfredo sauce, because I
have no idea what it has in it. This was such a, like, I hit random, and for the first time since doing this show and hitting random on a creepypasta, I stuck with the first result. And we'll see how it goes.
Hopefully it won't end like the one I tried the last time I did one, where it's like, I'm going to read like the first half. I like this. It's so bad. And then you get to the end, you're like, oh, it's intentionally bad. And the ending sucked.
But that pissed me off so much that I think it kind of,
it
elevated the content a little bit. The worst thing that happens is when we're like, it's all right. I did okay.
Well, if it's going that route, just insert some ice bandits.
Yeah. I don't know. This one sounded dumb, but we'll find out. If you haven't listened to the Non-Essential Podcast before, we tell each other stories. They can be fact, fiction, and today it's fiction. The only requirement is we have to think it's interesting, and I've even failed in that because, as I said, I have no idea what this is. So this didn't have an author attached to it on the creepypasta fandom page, but the title of the story is The Dead Lego.
I like it already. It's already the best story you've done.
So, like, creepypastas, like, they are drawn to, like, nostalgia type of horror. It's like, it's where all the bad video game creepypastas come from, is like, I remember playing Majora's Mask, and then I got one at a garage sale unopened. God. And the guy was like, just take it. And I'm like, are you sure, man? This is unopened. But something is wrong with this copy, You've just instantly made me feel like dust by saying nostalgia, Majora's Mask. Like, that's the whole game. Sorry, dude. I'm almost 30. Which means you are withering away as we speak.
And we all know once you hit 40, it's just, you're worth it. Then at that point, you're just taking up resources until you die.
Yeah. So I'm about the same age as this guy because it starts as such. I'm almost 30 years old, but somehow conversations about Lego seem to attract themselves to me. I haven't touched a brick in at least a decade, which applies to cocaine as well as Lego. So.
I've been clean, man.
I've been clean.
Nearly 10 years.
It's going to infuriate me how Lego is the, like, plural. Like, to me, they're always Legos.
Legos. Hell, I think I call a singular Lego Legos.
It's like how a single Dorito is actually a Doritos. And that's, like, infuriating to me too, but that's how it's supposed to be. There's a box of them tucked away in my parents' leaky basement somewhere, but for some reason, when I'm around, people start unloading their childhood sagas of Lego spacemen and Lego castles, Lego sets that came in Happy Meals, Lego sets that had a piece missing, whatever. I was more of a Ninja Turtle guy myself, which is, like, that's two different things. There were Ninja Turtles Legos, and they were
I'm
probably
already
awesome.
loving the idea that you're like checking out at the grocery store and the cashier's like, you find everything all right? And you're like, yeah. And she's like, yeah, the weather's getting pretty bad out there. I hope you get home soon. And you're like, yeah. And she's like, by the way, when I was 8, I had Legos.
It reminds me of the Cinderella Lego set I had. Whether it's some neckbeard telling me about his 3,000-piece World War II diorama or an angry lesbian complaining about how misogynistic the new Friends sets are, these conversations always bring my memories back to one person, Jimmy Miners.
Me too. That's exactly who I was thinking of when the story started.
Any time it's like, is there a more internet like obsessed term than like angry lesbian? Or it's like, these angry lesbians are making my life hell.
And I'm thinking to myself, it's funny because this writer's writing the story about a guy that doesn't really care about Legos, but keeps getting it like.
Yeah, you're the one who wrote a book about it, dude.
Well, that's the thing. It's like whoever's writing this obviously cares about it because they seem very up on the latest like Lego controversies, which I didn't know were a thing, but I'm not surprised because
To be fair, if you're buying a Friends set of Legos, you are a fuck.
Yeah, definitely misogynistic.
Definitely a misogynist. But
even if you're a woman, you're a misogynistic woman buying some freaking Friends Legos.
You're self-hating if you have Chandler in your diorama.
Could you be any more misogynistic?
That would really throw me off if I just showed somebody some dumb shit I collected and they would be like, wow, really? And they just walked away. I was like, I just thought it was a good show. Shit.
Well, this is going to sound more like it's going to put me on the opposite end of the internet spectrum, but I almost have that fear anymore. Like, I started reading a new book this week and I was going to tweet something about it. And I'm like, I need to check first and see if this author's been like abused of raping people or is racist or.
We got to run everything we enjoy through. Did they get canceled filter? That's awesome. Because like I'm the opposite way where I'll be like, man, this movie is great. You guys should watch it. And somebody will be like, yeah, too bad the guy fucking diddled a kid. And I'll be like, oh shit, well, the movie was good, but yeah, maybe not. It's because of Jimmy Miners that my one contribution to these Lego conversations used to be, did you ever get a Lego set with an extra piece? A woman's head with her eyes closed? I've gotten enough blank stares and awkward chuckles to learn that it hasn't happened to anyone else. Jimmy was the fucked up kid in my grade school. Total spaz. He would throw tantrums in class, the whole thing. And I'm glad that's the one thing that makes you a fucked up kid.
I like that he would throw tantrums in class, but he's talking like physics, like 201 in college, sophomore year in college.
Well, no. It was, he was in my class in 6th grade. I only went to his house once, and I remember it being weird that his parents weren't there. It was a big house, but there weren't many lights on. It was late afternoon, and there wasn't anyone coming home from work or making dinner or anything. Anyway, when we went into his room, I couldn't believe how many toys he had. They were new toys, too, not hand-me-down He-Man and G.I. Joe figures like I always had. His true passion was Lego, and he had shelves full of different sets. At the time, I thought, even though I don't really like him, he must be the luckiest kid in the world.
Well, I mean, those are two separate thoughts, too.
Yeah, like, I mean,
most of the luckiest people in the world,
you.
Right, exactly.
Man, you know what? He's a pain in the ass, but God, he gets a lot of stuff for free. Yeah, it's like you're allowed to resent that.
Right.
I also like that his like one contribution, like the thing that he thought was most interesting about Lego sets is like, did you ever get an extra piece? It's like probably all the time, dude, just not that one.
Oh, right.
I only went to his house that one time, but from then on he always brought to school the box or the instructions of whatever new set he got to show me. Now this one time, this was 98, 99, He was practically pissing his pants to show me what he had. He slowly, dramatically unzipped his pants. No.
No, but I was just thinking, check, he hit that I nearly pissed myself checkbox that has to be in every...
Yeah. He slowly, dramatically zipped open his backpack like he had Nazi gold or something. Which you would put in a backpack.
I like that it has to be Nazi gold, too, because somehow... Yeah.
I wish I could remember the name of the set, but the box he handed me showed an old-fashioned explorer guy driving a Jeep through the desert. An angry skeleton mummy was coming up from behind the Jeep and kind of pushing it over and surprising the explorer. Pretty cool, I drawled, letting my growing boredom of these Lego reveal sessions show itself just a little bit. His ratty face squeezed into a taunting grin. Only one thing missing, right? He asked. I wasn't catching on, so I shrugged. He pointed at the Jeep. 2 seats, 1 explorer? He brought his open hand up and lifted his elbow, making a sarcastic guessing game gesture, and asked wide-eyed, "Where's the other person?" I don't know, I answered, impatiently looking at the clock. Maybe the mummy can go for a ride too? Ignoring my answer, he held my gaze with his maniac eyes when he dug a Ziploc baggie out of his pocket. He got the baggie's solitary item out with his fingers, pinching it like a precious jewel. He held it in front of my face. It was just a boring yellow Lego head. But as I kept looking at it, it really wasn't boring. Not at all. It was beautiful. No.
It was exciting. Something started stirring in my pants.
It was arousing. It wasn't the same smiley face printed on trillions of other Lego heads. It wasn't even smiling, or at least not really. Its lipstick lips were straight. They were sad, or maybe serene. But the creepy thing, its eyes were closed. Instead of 2 perfect circles, its eyes were tiny U's. Fucking Jimmy Miners was just standing there with that thing in my face, and I couldn't figure out what he wanted from me. Is this a joke? Did he meticulously paint a perfectly creepy face on a blank Lego head? This extra head was in the bag, he hoarsely whispered. Why did they make it? She was supposed to be in the Jeep, he answered for himself. Look at the box. It says there's supposed to be 74 pieces. The set only has 71. I counted.
Well, then it's not an extra piece if you're missing 2 pieces.
Shut up. I counted all the regular pieces plus this one. She's missing her body and legs and hair, but this head is for me. Which is a weird way to phrase that. Like, Jimmy Miners is a fucking creep.
By 6th grade, you're definitely phrasing it, I got head with my last Lego set.
But this head is precious. I was accustomed to crazy, violent drama from Jimmy, but this creepy part of him was something new and maybe dangerous. So they took her out of production? I asked. Trying to steer this conversation back to real life as I walked us towards the classroom door, why didn't they keep her as part of the set? Because, Jimmy said, clamping his talon fingers onto my arm. She's dead. So fast forward all these years with me having it in the back of my head that sometimes Lego sets come with weird, out-of-production extra pieces. I haven't seen or heard from Jimmy Miners at all since 7th grade because of where we lived in town. We went to different junior highs, but I'm pretty sure he got kicked out of school. He was a fuck. I like that. Just like, I have that with people I've met in my life. I'm sure he's, he went to JVA shortly after that.
Yeah.
I can ask around, but I think I heard that he tried to attack a teacher. I also do that. I build narratives up of things that sound like they could happen to someone.
I tried to attack a teacher, so
the teacher just cold cocked him once. Dropped him. Now this gets tricky because there's this guy at work that has shed some light on all this, but I'm not sure he wants this getting out. Let's call him Craig. A bunch of us from work were going out for drinks late on a Friday, and it worked out that I went to Craig's house while we waited for everyone to get their shit together. Craig's a cool guy, kind of quiet, but we've gotten along fine at work. We went into his apartment and I sat on his couch, having a PBR while he was checking his messages or whatever. He had a lot of framed photographs on the wall, some of them pretty old, so I was just asking him about them. They were mostly pictures of family or friends of his family, but there was one photo of Craig when he was probably about 13, and a little kid in a black Power Ranger shirt. They had slung their arms around each other's neck, posing for the camera with huge smiles. "This must be your brother," I said, touching the photo. "He looks a lot like you." "Yeah," he said. "Donnie." He was 7 years old there. I don't see him much anymore. That picture reminds me of our happier times together. Like a dick, I asked, "You had a falling out?" Which isn't a dick thing to ask when I don't think.
Yeah, not
if,
really.
if somebody's like, "Yeah, that's Donnie." Like, I think it's okay to be like, "What happened, man?"
Yeah, it's a little different if it's like, "Yeah, that's my brother." Like, it was hard when he died, to like immediately follow up like,
Oh, shit.
"Oh, was it gruesome?"
Oh, shit. What happened, dog? He paused, then sucked in air through his lips and ran his fingers through his hair. I knew the answer, so I took it back. "Things happen, bud. We don't have to go there," I said. Or something like that, anyway.
You know, this really sounds more like a date than an after-work beer. Just like between the way that he's talking and like
having a real heart-to-heart.
Well, even like if I go to a buddy's house and it's like, "Oh, he's got pictures on the wall," I generally don't like start looking through them and like asking about them and be like, "Oh, this guy from your childhood looks like you were close. What's this story here, bud?"
Depends how
like,
long it's taken. If you make me wait, if I finish my PBR and we're not ready to go, I will interrogate you on your entire fucking life.
Yeah, or I guess if there's like an awkward, like if the cat's sitting staring at me and I'm just trying to like get my attention off
At
of
that
it.
point, I'd be like, is this your cat? Please let this be your cat. If not, you have a weird cat in your house.
How attached to this cat are you? Just that.
Well, what's the push's name? And that's the shit I'll ask usually.
Yeah.
In that voice, so they'll never hang out with me again. Now, for whatever reason, the universe just works like this, I guess. But we had the TV on, and a few minutes after this conversation, a commercial for the Lego movie came out. I don't know how specifically the conversation started, but as I've said, I'm a human beacon for Lego talk. And it turned out that Craig's brother Donnie had been really into Lego when he was a kid. This singular Lego shit is going to drive me nuts. I fucking hate saying it this way.
Yeah.
But I'm going to commit, you know. He wrote it a certain way, we have to respect it. So I thought, maybe this is meant to be, because talking about Lego got Craig talking about his brother. By the time we were in the car, Craig was in full swing talking about his brother's Lego sets, so I decided to ask, "Did your brother ever get any extra weird pieces in his sets, like heads for figures that didn't exist?" "Oh," he said, the smile draining from his face. "Yeah, there was the girl's torso." My heart dropped into my stomach. "Donnie got the set with a desert adventurer and a car," he continued. "A Jeep with a skeleton mummy," I added, all too knowingly. He nodded and smiled weakly. "Yeah, you know of it, I guess. While he was building it, he took out a piece and hid it in his fist. He didn't want anyone to see it. That was weird. He was usually such a bright, open, goofy person. But eventually I got him to show me. It was a woman's blouse, white. I remember it being really detailed, especially for how long ago this was. There were little buttons printed up and down the front of her shirt, and they even had wispy, curvy lines to show that the shirt was supposed to be kind of poofy. This is another theme in creepypastas of like video games and stuff. Like there was blood, but it wasn't like video game blood. It was like it was real blood. Sonic was running around with real blood. So anything clearly cartoony has to be super detailed and real. I was about to tell him about Jimmy Minor's Lego head from all those years ago, but Craig wasn't done. "The fucked up part, though," he said, forcing himself to go on, "was that there were tiny red lines coming down from the torso's neck. I don't know what they were supposed to be, but they looked exactly like thin rivulets of blood leaking out from a slit throat. We had gotten to the bar. Craig threw his car into park and pulled out his keys. Then we just sat there for a minute in silence, him with his forehead in his hands, before he went on. My brother was obsessed with that Lego piece. He never used it to make a Lego figure, but he would make it be the centerpiece of his creations. He would make little shrines for it, pyramid shapes, things like that. He'd put candles around his shrines. He said he never lit the candles, but I could tell by the drip of wax that he did. I think he did it at night. Our parents certainly didn't know anything about this Lego piece. Well, one night I woke up because I thought I heard Donnie listening to the radio in his room. It was some kind of low, raspy speaking. I quietly got out of my room and walked to his door, and it freaked me out. I could hear that it was actually Donnie making that noise. He was speaking rhythmically, like a chant or prayers at a church. But it was a creepy voice that wasn't quite his. It wasn't English. It sounded like it was Arabic or something. I could tell from the wavy, dim light coming out from under the door that he had those candles lit. When I heard a pause in the chant, I turned the handle on the door and creaked it open. It was hard to tell what was going on because the candlelight was weird on my eyes, but eventually I could see the whole thing. Donnie was crouched over the shrine, which he had obviously spent some time building into a temple. In the center, behind an altar, the mummy skeleton was holding up the girl's torso in its raised arms. The candles were carefully arranged in a circle around the temple. Donnie didn't look at me at first. Donnie almost wasn't there. He was whispering that strange language, and his eyes seemed to be glowing. Making another wider circle around the candles was every toy, stuffed animal, and action figure that he and I ever had in the house. He-Men, Power Rangers, Care Bears, Turtles, wrestling guys, all of them, they were facing the temple, and all their heads had been removed. We both gulped and paused.
Toy Story 5 gets really weird.
Yeah, Look, there's only so many ways to say we got to move on from our toys. All right, this is as clear as we can make it to kids. Grow the fuck up, or they'll fucking become a death cult.
Sacrifice them to Zool.
Sacrifice them to the altar of Lego. I tried to whisper his name. Donnie. Donnie. He slowly looked up and began chanting in English. She's dead. She's dead. The gods will eat our heads. Over and over, the gods will eat our heads. I ran into the room, snatched the bloody fucking torso out of the temple, and threw it out the window. Donnie slumped to the floor and had some kind of episode. Convulsions. Then he was just asleep. I picked him up and put him into his bed. I blew out the candles and put them away. I put all the dead toys in a bag and eventually threw them away. What the fuck did you hold on to him for?
3 weeks later, and it's like, oh, yeah.
I thought I could save Leonardo, but the head just wouldn't go back on right. I took apart his temple and removed just enough pieces that he couldn't make it again. I threw those pieces away too. The next day, well, we didn't talk about what had happened. I went out into the yard to find that torso piece, but I couldn't find it. But basically, the main thing is that things have never really been the same between the two of us since then. I like that he went through the trouble of throwing all the fucking pieces away, except the one that caused all this shit.
Well, but that's why you gotta control those knee-jerk reactions. Yeah. He threw it out the window, and he's like, well, fuck.
Right, you gotta make sure you destroy the body, you know? Halloween taught us that. We talked a little more. Apparently Donnie just got really withdrawn, started doing poorly in school, and moved out of town as soon as he could when he turned 18. I didn't know, still don't really know, what else to say to Craig about it. So there you go. Stop bringing up your Lego stories around me, unless you found an extra set of legs and hair. The end.
But I want more. I was hoping the chant would be Legos, Legos. There's an S on the end of Legos. I mean, Legos, I know there's not.
Legos of my egos.
Yes.
Yeah, I actually kind of liked that.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be much worse based off the setup. But
yeah, I mean, it's got the creepypasta-ish stuff where, like, I don't even remember the specific, like, the line, but it's like the main character, the narrator, it's like his heart sank, or he got whatever, he knew something weird was up, like, way sooner than I think you actually would, because it's like, and then I think the friend, like, was way more casual about you knew the exact set that, like, if it was just a minor weird thing, I'd be like, oh, that's cool, you remember this set, but it's like, yeah, my brother basically went into this, like, possessed
trance.
You're right.
And you, I mean, the way maybe I narrated that poorly, because he does say, like, you know, it's he responds a little more like, oh shit, you knew about it. Yeah. I think it's supposed to read more like that. I you know, I do like that he goes through this, like, you know, weird fucking trance with this Lego thing, and then the mark that, like, the dude was never okay again was that he did poorly in school. Like, that just sounds like a guy becoming a fucking teenager.
Yeah.
You know, like, and then he left town as soon as he could. Like, a ton of kids do that. And they lose contact with the family and shit, because, well, fuck, can you blame him? You threw all his toys away.
Right. That's the thing. He's like, he was never the same again. And then his brother's in some other town drinking with some other buddy. Like, and then my asshole brother came in and threw all my shit away. Like,
yeah, that's his story.
Like, I was just filming this horror, like, home movie with my toys where, you know, about a woman getting sacrificed to a skeleton, and my brother threw my shit away.
Yeah.
I don't.
But I do like the idea that, like, there's other missing pieces out there. Like, it's this guy's building extended Lego horror universe. It's beautiful.
But what I'm wondering then is that, like, so these 4 possessed pieces, I'm curious what of course, and that's the point, is it's like, well, what would have happened had the brother not interrupted him and, like, these things gone on? But I like to think that these 4 possessed pieces were supposed to bring, like, 4 soul parts together and form the ultimate, like, evil spirit. But now, like, there's just 3 of them sitting around, like, twiddling their thumbs, waiting for the torso guy to come that never will, because
like most ancient evils, not a well thought out plan as far as, like, getting, like, you know, all the horrible parts together.
I did like that the first kid pointed at the Jeep. He's like, there's 2 seats. There should be 2 people. I'm like, my car has, like, 5 seats, and I often drive around by myself.
That's usually what I tell myself because I'm single. I'm like, this truck has a second seat. There should be 2 here. Damn it.
Well, this weekend, when you finally get some time off work, you can take, like, a Sawzall and cut the seat in half and throw the other part out.
I gotta throw the seat away. Yeah, that's my problem. It's, you know, you won't feel lonely if you have one seat.
If you only have 1 seat, yeah.
It's like, where the fuck was girlfriend? Where would I even keep her? Who has space?
You know, as soon as you did that, some girl would come up and be like, hey Ben,
oh man, that's a nice truck.
You want to go out to dinner? You'd be like, I wish I hadn't thrown my seat away. Yeah.
I'd be like, damn. Well, I guess you can lay in the truck bed. Just stay low. I don't want to get pulled over.
Stay low.
That would be a great way to pick up a first date. Just like completely hollowed out truck. Just be like, you know, you could kind of like tie yourself to the front if you want.
Yeah, nothing serial killer about that at all.
Yeah, it's just that fucking grindhouse movie, Death Proof.
Although, I guess it'd be better than, like, the story being you had a girlfriend and she broke up with you, so then you cut the seat, because then you'd be telling all the women you meet, be like, yeah, I'm no longer with my ex, and then I had to get rid of my truck seat, and it would sound like you, like, were getting rid of evidence or something.
I mean, that would be my move after a breakup, though. I got to get rid of everything that reminds me of you, including where you've ever said...
Shit, I wish all this money didn't remind me of you.
I gotta be, yeah, fuck yeah. I'll be like that McCandless guy, and you'll find me dead in a bus somewhere. No, I'll be dead in my truck, but like I said, it'll be hollowed out.
Yeah. Just one
so,
Lego head.
So yeah, if you were struggling like I was this Valentine's Day, hopefully we gave you some ideas there. How to cope.
The responsible podcast.
You know, hey,
But now I'm thinking, anytime that
here.
I ever have to go somewhere where there's a chance that you'll like not make it or mysteriously vanish, like if I go hiking by myself in the woods, like take some random, like I've got right here sitting on my desk this little minion toy from a Happy Meal thing that Lincoln got forever ago. But I'll take that with me, so if I'm ever found, like I gotta do something to it though, like put a little piece of like duct tape over the mouth or something.
Mm-hmm.
So if you ever found somebody's like, he was found alone in the woods 6 months later, and the only thing found with him was a minion that had his mouth bound and like gagged.
See, like
throw.
Yeah. Like what
I want to make sure that if I die, I make it on Unsolved Mysteries, basically, is what I'm saying.
See, I want to, like, I'm such an arrogant, stubborn ass that, like, I could be that McCandless guy and, like, die in the middle of nowhere. And till my death, I would be, like, writing shit down for people to find that's just like, no, I totally meant to do this. No, it's cool. I don't. Even if I could get past the river, I wouldn't want to. I wanted to hang out.
Which is funny because, like, your first couple entries would be like, gonna try to pass the river today. I'm gonna try again tomorrow.
Oh,
then you're sure gonna be like, fucking river, I don't want to cross it anyway.
This river's bullshit.
I totally could cross it, but I decided I didn't want to.
I'm confident I'm in good enough shape now to cross it, but I'm gonna nap instead. And then there'll just be one entry is like, it feels like there's mold in my stomach. It's like, yep, there's definitely mold in my stomach. And then
I wanted mold in my stomach was day 4.
You know what? The mold's actually, I'm coming around to it. Definitely an acquired taste. People who haven't read or watched Into the Wild have no idea what we're talking about.
In fairness, I knew what you're talking about and still kind of don't know what I'm talking about. That's my permanent.
That's a great book. If you haven't read it at home, you should read it.
I've not read it, but I've listened to the Eddie Vedder soundtrack, which is probably just as good.
It's not. It actually, the fact you reminded me that that's the thing, reminded me that I want to not. I wish I didn't know the story now.
But he sings like this all the time.
And I would fucking die too. That's what would make me eat like poison fucking pumpkin seeds or whatever the fuck killed him.
You're just at a concert and they're like, and next Eddie Vedder. You're like, fuck, give me the poison seeds.
Give me the shit that's been in the trunk for way too long.
I need a $10 beer and some poison seeds.
Okay. Vedder comes off stage. It's like, thank you. And then just from the distance, like, I'm killing myself because of you. That would be a weird trip to lay on a musician.
Yeah.
It's like, I wouldn't want to hear that on stage.
No, that's...
I wouldn't want to hear it at all, honestly, but especially like you're getting hyped for a show and somebody not even like yelling at you or like trying to get you to encourage it or anything. Like it's just a very matter of fact, like I'm gonna do it. Like shit. Gotta stop the whole show, find out why.
In the interest of fairness, I should point out that I actually like Eddie Vedder's music. I
don't. That's why we even each other out.
Yeah.
You know, we are the chocolate and peanut butter of lame dudes who have a podcast.
Part of that difference is that's my generation's music, and your generation's music is Barney. So
I would argue Barney rocks harder than Vedder.
But like I said, Vedder always sounds like he's in the middle of like the world's worst earthquake.
Yeah, and it sucks. I gotta link you a video. Like somebody put a video up of Running with the Devil, but just the acapella, and it's like the guy's like, take all the instruments out of that song, and like just by the end of it, he's just like, woo, woo. It's fucking hilarious. But anyway, we're off topic. The show's done.
Yeah,
We're out of here.
Done.
Look that video up. And have a great week.
Goodbye. Aye.